All right, Keith and Alisha Fickert from Chico. Sorry, drew a blank there. So
No, you're good.
thank you so much for joining me on my weekly chat with top producing agents. And one thing I'll have to say, what I remember of you guys, I think we first met at the Gary Keller Mastermind probably about 2 years ago. And I was talking to Keith a lot actually because I was a finance guy. And so I think Keith was very analytical to his approach, and I really gravitated towards, and I really enjoyed talking about the Chico market as a whole, and want to compliment you on your local updates. Always very informative. So awesome. And I also learned I'm not supposed to play poker with Alisha.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm one of those people that I'm one of those people that whatever I feel is right on my face. So poker is probably the worst possible game that I can play. So, and for the people that don't know, you won this big tournament with other high producing agents, and I learned definitely not playing poker with you.
Well, you didn't have to watch my hand. My hand was shaking, so all I kept telling myself is don't shake your hand. Act like you know what you're doing. Just very still. So yeah.
Well, clearly you did a good job of that. So you won that tournament. I think it was for charity, and so that was awesome. So, anyways, enjoyed meeting you guys about 2 years ago. So, anyways, that's why when I started doing these chats, I was really excited that you guys can join me. So, thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So let's get started and kind of talk about the Chico market, right? And maybe you can kind of tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you guys ended up in Chico.
I'm actually a native. I was born and raised here, so grew up a little bit in the outskirts area with it on a couple acres, which is a little bit more rural side of Chico with it in the canyon between Chico and Paradise, another city. It's about 15 minutes away. But yeah, went to all the local schools, went to Chico State University, got a degree, and just have been from the area.
And I was born and raised in Paradise, which is 15 minutes from Chico.
Oh, that's where the fire was, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So 90% of the town burnt down. But we moved actually right before that because you moved to Paradise. And then we moved to Chico 8 years ago this month. So we've been in Chico, and I went to Chico State, Butte College, got my real estate degree at Butte College. And so, yeah, we both are natives here.
That's awesome. Well, I've always said that the realtors that sell where they grew up have an entirely different perspective than from like someone who's a transplant. And so I think my personal feeling is that if anybody's shopping for any particular area, it's always better to work with a local. That's my opinion. You can disagree, but that's my opinion. So before real estate, what did you guys do?
I actually was a waitress going to college, and my dad is a third generation builder. So he's been in real estate, or he's in building for a long time. And his real estate agent is actually the one that got me into real estate because he said I had the personality and I was driven. And he kept bugging me when I was a waitress going to college because I actually was going to be a liberal studies major. And then I switched and decided to give real estate a shot. And then I got my real estate license when I turned 21.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So Alicia's been in the business quite a bit longer than I have. And so she'd been in the business, I don't know, like maybe almost 15 years at that point, 13, 14-ish years. But I went the other route. I was W-2. I worked in corporate America. I was in a leadership role, worked for an organization, a Fortune 500 company for almost 17 years. But I'd kind of I got promoted in 2010 to kind of my dream position, if you will. And after a year or two in the role, I pretty quickly realized that a lot of my mentors that were in that same role were really unhappy. I could kind of see a glimpse into the future of who I was going to be if I stayed in that corporate America job. until the retirement age, as I had these older mentors that I was talking with. And so I realized this isn't what I want to do for the next 20 or 30 years. And so I wanted to be smart about just not jumping out of that just to jump into something else that I was going to leave also. So it took several years kind of figuring out what is it that I wanted to get into next, because I wanted to pick a second career that I really enjoyed. And so Alisha had grown her business a lot over those years with it. And so she kind of started talking to me about maybe joining her in that business. And obviously working together with your spouse is not for everybody. So we had a lot of conversations and prayed about it some and tried to figure out, like, is this a path that is something that we think would be good and would be healthy for us to do? And ultimately decided to take the plunge with it and joined her almost 5 years ago in the business.
Yeah, you guys are way stronger than me. I joke with my wife, if she ever decided to come into the business, we probably get divorced. It's just, I mean, we get along, we do well, but man, if we were actually working together, that wouldn't work.
It takes a little time getting used to it. I mean, the first year, I mean, I think it's just getting used to, I mean, one, it's a whole new career for him. And we're both used to just being the top of our game and, not having to work as a team. So, we work as a team at home. So it just took a little time. And now it's like we play off of each other. And he always says, like, oh, we're going on a listing point. It's like going on a date. So
I
we have
really
fun
enjoy
with
it.
it.
We go to some appointments together, but we also have adjacent offices, which I think is really helpful as husband and wife, where we're not crammed in the same office, like, 24 hours or, 12 hours of the day with it, having a little bit of space where we can see each other some, but also be able to do our own things, and having boundaries and clearly defined roles is really important as well too, just so we're not stepping on each other's toes. So it's definitely not for everybody. But I think having some guardrails in place makes it a really good experience for us.
That is sage advice. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about Chico a little bit more. How's the market doing right now?
The market's actually doing really well right now with it. Obviously, the big news this week is that the Fed did a pretty significant rate cut of 50 basis points. However, as experienced realtors know, we know that the Fed rate is not the same as the mortgage rates. Those are two different things. It's the overnight lending rate to the banks versus mortgage rates. And so really, we started seeing some mortgage rate cuts really about 2 months ago, just nationwide. And so it seems to have taken about a month or so for buyers to kind of realize that. And so really, rates have been going down for about 2 months, but it's been about the last 4 weeks or so that we've seen local buyers really picking up on that. And we're seeing an uptick in activity with our buyers. So we're starting to see more pendings. We're starting to see more buyers re-entering the market. Again, we're seeing inventory tighten up a little bit, not down to like crazy COVID levels, but inventory definitely has shrunk compared to maybe 2 to 3 months ago. And I don't think that's all due to seasonality kind of going into the fall season with it. So it's not, kind of crazy like it was during 2020 to 2022, but it's definitely busier than what we've seen over the last year and a half.
Okay. So let me kind of just tell you a little bit about my market, right? So I sell in San Mateo County, which is, for people that don't know, San Mateo County is essentially the suburb between San Francisco and Silicon Valley. I'm right in the middle. And it's a very expensive area to live in. And it's getting to the point where the average person can't afford a regular starter home anymore. In fact, our median sales price is over $2 million now. So what does that really buy in your market?
What would $2 million buy in our market?
To give the followers some kind of perspective.
So to give context to that, our median home price in the Chico area is right around like 450 to 500,000, depending on what month, because that number obviously fluctuates from month to month as homes sell. So really, we're looking at a pretty significant decrease from what the median is in your area. So quite honestly, that's really the top end of our market right now. There's probably one or two that are around 2 million on our MLS right now, out of the 124 or so that are active on the market. So really, that would buy you pretty much anything in our particular area.
Good to know. Would that be considered luxury, or is that a little bit above?
That would definitely be luxury. Anything over $1 million here would be considered luxury for the price point.
Got it. That's good perspective. And from your experience, what are the top reasons why people are moving into Chico?
Retirement is a huge one, and moving close to family. Lots of people have come here for, like a relative, or Chico stayed and then they end up staying or leaving and coming back, or having a family member.
And it really, to circle back to what she said with it, the third reason would probably be the lifestyle here, in terms of there's a lot of outdoor activities we have in this area. Chico is actually home to this huge park. It's called Bidwell Park. The founders of the town, later on in life, basically gave the town a huge swath of the town for a park. And so it's over 3,000 acres. It's about 4 times bigger than Central Park in New York. And so there's tons of hiking and biking and all these outdoor activities that we have in our area with it that people really love. So I think a lot of it is the lifestyle. And going back to her point of retirement, we actually get quite a bit of transplants from either the Sacramento greater area or the Bay Area, that later on in life, when they want to downsize, they can sell that $2 million home that you were describing earlier, and then buy another home here for $500,000, and then have a really good nest egg to potentially live off of.
Such a good point. Such a good point. Now, from your experience, what is generally the hardest part about moving to Chico? Because realistically, there is no perfect place, right? So what is the hardest thing for people when they move to Chico?
I think the big thing is that we only have one Trader Joe's, which is maybe something that they're not used to.
Okay.
My opinion would be that we're not close. Like, you said you're between like San Francisco and Silicon Valley. You're like right in the middle of all that. Our area is an hour and a half drive to the next bigger city. And there's not a lot of big cities. So yeah, the airport's an hour and a half. If you want to go, there's shopping here, but if you really want to go shopping and have more options, it's about an hour and a half.
Got it. And I apologize for my technical difficulties. I'm working on that, but I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. And to give some familiar viewers perspective too, Chico has a current population of around 110,000 people or so, and that doesn't include the students that cycle in and out each year. And so we're not a small town, but also we're not a big town too. So we don't have, as many restaurants as maybe in the Sacramento area or the Bay Area that some of your viewers maybe are used to.
Right. Well, that's, again, great insight. And I have one last question, and I usually like to leave off with a personal question. And I follow you online, and you have a beautiful family, for the record. What would be kind of a dream vacation for you guys?
So we love traveling, as you probably know. This last summer, we spent time in South America, and the summer before that in Europe. We love Europe. We want to go back more. Want to explore Switzerland more. And personally, I really want to go to Thailand for the food and just the area to check out. So that would be mine.
Yeah, I think in the Australia and Thailand areas would be a really fun vacation with it, because of our kids' age and the flight times to get there. That's one that we haven't tackled yet. It's a bit longer than where we've gone so far, but that's definitely been on the bucket list for us for a potential trip down the road.
I love it, because I'm actually constantly looking for great ideas for my kids as well. So putting those on my list as well. Awesome. Well, Keith, Alisha, thank you so much for taking the time. That's it for today. And are you guys going to be at the next mastermind in November?
I think we are. One of us or both of us will be there. It just depends. We have to look at the kids' schedule.
At least one of us should be there, so we'll hopefully catch you there.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.